And we are live. All right, guys. So Jimmy is on the road. Jimmy is running things from behind the scenes. Dave Kittle, Tony Maritato, PT Breakfast Club. Dave, we've got to talk about the WNBA All Star t shirt debacle. Uh, I knew the second I saw the first screenshot, I knew what was coming. But before I say anything about it, do you have any initial impressions about what WNBA All Star girls were doing, wearing those shirts that say "Pay us what you quote owe us"? That's where I have the problem. What you owe us. What are you thinking?
Well, many months ago, we covered
Yep.
the WNBA pay scale. We covered they're still a new league compared to the NBA. I think the NBA is, I don't know, 80 to 100 years old or something, and obviously way more established. So the WNBA is fairly newer, and it's obviously public that the WNBA players make uh, more on a percentage basis than the NBA players make, but they want even more because when they look at, because I think that like Caitlin Clark's contract was like the first 4 or 5 years and it was like 70 something grand, which, you know, for someone, I guess, like at her stat, she's making millions from endorsement deals, but then her actual WNBA contract is very small. And so I understand, but no, I mean, we kind of covered it. We hit it hard before. I'm basically at the same point. I can reiterate it for folks that didn't catch that as we get into it. So,
Well,
but yeah, I
here's
mean,
the thing.
but the shirts. I mean, go ahead. I mean, it's just it's nothing's gonna change from t-shirts, I don't think. But let's
Right.
see what you got to say.
Yeah, nothing's going to change from t-shirts. Paying us what you owe us. Like that is the most absurd, ridiculous, idiotic thing that I've seen on social media for a couple days. You are getting paid what you're owed. You're owed what you agreed to sign on the contract for, just like physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech language pathologists. Like we can't come out, and this is the frustration. Is I knew it was going to comes over into all the professions, right? Teachers are doing it, therapists are doing it, doctors are doing it, nurses are doing it. You agree to a job, you agree to a contract, you agree to a pay rate. That's what you're owed. That's all that you're owed. If you want more, have the negotiations. Now, I understand there's a WNBA union and they're negotiating. Don't bring it out into the public. Like, if you're a physical therapist working for a rate that you agreed to work for, don't come into the physical therapy clinic and start complaining to the patients you're treating that you're not getting paid enough. That's the ridiculous part here. Um, you are paid what you are owed. Now, if you want to get paid more, totally different topic. And to my perspective, I always say let's take a step or two back. And I shared a post about Clark again. And I was really disappointed that she came out in that shirt, but I understand she's got to support the league, even though they don't necessarily support her. I don't think she'd get the 20 plus $1 million Nike deal if she wasn't in the WNBA, if she didn't have that platform. So, yes, she's getting paid 70 something thousand a year to play basketball, but that opened the door for the $20 million contract, multi year contract with Nike. And I'm sure there's other deals out there that she's been able to monetize because of the WNBA platform. Take that into physical therapy. Dave, you're an amazing physical therapist. You're only going to get paid so much per hour. Nothing you do is going to earn you more for the patient care. But that's how you monetize on other ways, the social media, the YouTube and Instagram and all these other things. You could generate equity deals, you could generate sponsorships, you can do so much more outside of patient care. That's what these girls just need to do. Like we understand the league is not profitable, hasn't been profitable for a long time, is improving. Why? Because of Caitlin. But aside from that, um, my frustration is in the term, oh, you signed a contract, you were owed what you signed for. That is it, nothing more. Don't come out in those shirts. Don't like make this spectacle that really makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that I know we kind of I felt the same way when we talked about it many months ago, and yeah, you're right. I mean, the perfect analogy, like you said, is if you're an in-network practice owner and you're complaining to your therapist. Of course, I know like across the country, therapists are and owners are going to kind of voice their frustrations with like the pre-authorizations or like denials and all that type of stuff with insurance. And that I believe I agree, you're all valid in saying that if you have those frustrations, or maybe you got to take Tony's course and do better coding or whatever for Medicare, but that's another story. But yeah, I mean, patients don't want to hear your frustration with the level of pay and compensation and reimbursement that the network contracts are paying you. And yeah, the owners, they signed it. They signed those contracts just like the WNBA contracts. So yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know if it's bad taste. Do you think the word "owe us," like pay us
Yeah,
what you owe us? Would you say that that's in bad taste, or just
100%.
just the wrong wording?
It is. It's a terrible choice of words. Like you believe you're valued more than you agreed to get paid for. Um, Different conversation. Saying that you're not paid what you're owed, that means you're being cheated. You're not being cheated. You're an adult. Grow up. You signed a contract. This is what you're dealing with. It goes back to, and this is a touchy subject, I'm sure, student loans. Like, you were an adult when you signed the student loan. You are borrowing money. Doesn't matter what it's for. Pay back the money. Don't make me pay your money. Don't make the taxpayer pay for your decision to take out student loans. Like, the simple responsibility of an adult. And I feel like we continue to push being an adult further and further into life, that there are a few people out there that still accept the responsibility for their choices, but too many of us are trying to push that down the road. Like, kids need to grow up. 25-year-old kids need to grow up.
I love it. Can I potentially make a connection from this topic to? I know we've talked also about burnout in healthcare. I know we talked about it a ton, but the reason why I bring this up is because this past weekend we were at a family friend's house, and the husband is a cardiologist and the wife is a nurse, a dialysis nurse. But they both have been in healthcare for decades and decades and decades. I think he's in his 70s, and I think she's in her 60s or 70s. They've been in healthcare for multiple decades, and somehow someone said something during a meal, and I said, you know what? I said, they were talking about a coworker or burnout or whatever, and I said, can I just, like, I'm curious, like, because with social media and physical therapy and I don't know all the stuff with the whole United Healthcare thing and all that, like, and everything else. I said, burnout, like, is that new from what you guys have heard, like in the different hospitals you've worked in, the dialysis center, like in the break rooms, like everywhere in in healthcare, from this physician and this nurse's standpoint? And they said no, it's not new. I mean, they've been hearing people complain about burnout forever, um and they've always heard it. And I don't know if there's some amplification now with social media or what, but I don't know. I don't know if that even makes sense as a connection. But the fact that we're talking about the previous WNBA topic and then this, bringing this together, uh, that again, and the student loans. So you brought the student loans up, and then I'm thinking like that's where I got this connection of burnout in healthcare, and I was like, yeah, like you signed up for that too. Like, I went and did a bunch of shadowing when I was like undergrad to confirm that I actually wanted to go into this. And I shadowed at multiple places, and I got to speak with employees and all that. And so if you didn't do those things and then you find out like, oh, it's way more challenging than you thought it was going to be. I mean, it's challenging wherever you go into, and so
Or even if you did do those things, like, even if you did shadow and you went to an amazing place and you had an amazing experience, you're like, this is what I want to do. I'm so passionate about it. And then you go through 7+ years of school, and then you come out. We live in a different world. Things change. Like, there are copywriters that were put out of work when ChatGPT was released. There were farmers who were put out of work when tractors were released. Like, this is what happens. This is the world we live in. And I just feel like resilience, all of the things that we appreciate about being a physical therapist, what we deliver to our patients are the things I think we need to bring back into our own lives, which is, look, I am resilient. I am strong. I am prepared for whatever is going to come. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, but I am building a solid foundation today so that whatever I face tomorrow, I'm ready to deal with. And I just don't see enough of that. And this isn't about mauling young people. I love young people. They're amazing. This is people in general. I know 60 and 70-year-olds that don't have the resilience they need to face the challenges that are coming. We just don't know what they're going to be. I hope that I have what it takes for me to deal with whatever happens tomorrow. You know, I'm not exclusive or special in any way. But yeah, like burnout and all of those things, I just think it's so easy to become a victim. It's so easy to label somebody with, you know, a problem. And then once they have that, man, that is appealing, because now all of a sudden everybody has to look out for you. Everybody has to take care of you. And that's a bigger trend I think we see happening in society in general, not just in healthcare. But let's tweak this. Let's pivot just a little bit. Have you seen some of the new versions of the AI videos I've been sharing? Share one.
With the woman with like the curlers in her hair.
Well, even newer than that. Let me see if I can bring. Oh, I can't bring it on. Oh no. Okay, doesn't matter. Um, the VEO3 is the newest Google version of AI video generation. It includes audio. I just put one on my Facebook personal feed and on LinkedIn. It's a video of an older gentleman, probably late 60s, sitting what looks like in his backyard. And he basically says, I spent the best years of my life in an office. Now I can barely walk across the lawn. Physical therapy has given me a second chance at life. Something along those lines. I'm moving away from the Yeti videos, the crazy old lady videos, to some more practical kind of real world situations. Uh, but this is just unbelievable what I'm seeing people do with some of these videos. And it's virtually indistinguishable. There's a little bit you can tell from the tone of voice. There's a little bit you can tell from like the fluidity of the video. But if you haven't seen some of the newest stuff, Google just made another recent update. I'm in my mind, I'm racing through. I'm like, okay, the first thing that I think we could do is obviously add copy, but we have to be super cautious. You can't use fake people with fake testimonials to promote your business. But then I'm like, well, shoot, why aren't we making like home exercise videos on demand? You know, why aren't we making like highly customized welcome videos? You can take your photo, your headshot, put it into the system, and it will make a virtual you, a virtual Dave Kittle, telling your patient, hey, John, so great you signed up with my business. I'm, you know, going to be coming out today or whatever.
That would help me, because then my therapist would only have to record it, you know, once, and then if we could change and insert the prospective patient or the new client that just booked their evaluation and insert their first name into it, like hi, new prospective patient or new patient's first name, and then the rest of the video plays. I mean, and then maybe if you have the extra time, you insert the patient's name and whatever their condition that they're seeking to, you know, get evaluated and treated. Like that would be great in terms of efficiency, and, you know, a little less, you know, demand on my therapist from having to either record a generic video for everyone, or the time it would take for them to record a video for every single new patient with mentioning like your low back, your ankle, like whatever the issue is.
Your therapist doesn't even have to record the first one. Like literally, if you just take a headshot, it's done. It takes the headshot and turns it into
But
video.
does it still, this still looks like AI? It still looks a little choppy, or it's indistinguishable.
It's getting close to being indistinguishable. And I would say, assuming taking this situation as context, patient hasn't worked with your therapist before, you're going to generate a welcome video. The patient roughly knows what your therapist looks like from maybe an image, or they saw something online. They would have no idea this wasn't a real video. These are 8-second clips, 8 seconds or shorter. So it's literally just a quick, hey, my name's Tony. I'm going to be seeing you today at 1 p.m. Looking forward to it. That's it. And it shoots it out there. But there is some amazing stuff coming down the pike. My concern is with all technology, we tend to think of, okay, how am I going to use this? And we put it into the context of what we've always done. Somebody grabs, the iPhone. It's like, hey, it's a phone. I'm going to make phone calls, but it could do so many more things. It took a decade before people really took it outside of the box of being a phone to make phone calls. Our inclination with these video clips is like, oh, I'll use it to generate home exercises. No, like that is old ideas with new technology. I know that there are so many things that we can do that we're not even thinking about. It's just amazing. So what I'm doing right now, I'm sharing it on social media. I'm like, hey guys, look, these are the videos I'm creating. These are the prompts that I'm using. Let's brainstorm. I created one yesterday of, again, an older guy working out in a physical therapy clinic. The therapist says, John, what's going on? You're working out so hard today. And then it fades to a scene of the same guy. So in the clinic, he's doing step ups, same guy walking up the bleachers at his granddaughter's basketball game, and making the connection of, I do this in the physical therapy clinic, so I can do that in the real world. That's been kind of the focus this week. Everything from, I'm in the physical therapy clinic doing kettlebell carry, farmer's carry. I take that out to carrying groceries from the car to my kitchen. I'm in the clinic doing a transition from standing to laying on the floor back to standing. I'm out in the baseball field, getting off the ground. Just different things like that, trying to make those comparisons so that we don't have to explicitly say, hey, come to physical therapy to do this. We can show it using these AI videos.
So you have that currently as your recent AI videos on
Yeah.
on Total Therapy Solutions?
Yeah, I've got some of them. Speaking of which, I don't know. I didn't share it with you guys in the chat. My Facebook business page is going bonkers. Off screen, I'm going to see if I can pull it up real quick just so I can give you guys the most recent numbers. Last week, I showed you a screenshot. I was at like 2 million views or something like that. Looking at it this morning, it's pulling up on my side. I know the viewers can't see it, but I'll tell you in 3, 2, 1. Okay, Dave, since July 18th, today is July 22nd. Since July 18th, take a rough guess. Don't be crazy. What do you think my view count is on my Facebook business?
What was the interval the last 30 days?
So I've been averaging 1 million views a month, million views over 28 days, technically, since like December of 2024. So take a rough guess where I'm at.
Are you at 1.5?
Close.
Are you at 2? Are you at 2?
Close. I'm at 7.2 million views. 7.2 million views. And that's really just because over the last couple of days, I was at 160,000 views for the day of July 18th. July 19th, 900,000 views in a day. July 20th, 2 million views in a day. July 21st, 2 million views in a day. So just
Wow.
one video took off, went crazy. It brought everything up. Now I've got multiple, like 500 million view, 300 million view, 700 million view. The main one that went nutso was like 4 million views. I added 2,000, 3,000 followers to the business page over the last like 5 days. So pretty exciting. And the craziest thing about this, I wish I could tell somebody, oh, it's because I'm an expert in video production and I know exactly what I did. No, these were videos that have been shared across multiple social media platforms. These are videos that were recorded like 2.5, 3 years ago. they for whatever reason, I reshared them. Facebook prompted me, hey, reshare these videos, reshared them, and they went crazy. But there was nothing different, nothing new, nothing specific. They're just 15-second video clips of total knee replacements in the clinic. Me behind the camera, you hear my voice. I'm talking to the patient in front of the camera. And it's just YouTube is doing great with the same stuff. Instagram, it's doing well on all the platforms, but not 7 million views well. A couple 100,000 views well on the other platforms.
I know your main approach is to get views and for ad dollars as opposed to new patients from videos. Is that correct? Or you still welcome new patients from these videos?
We would take new patients from the videos. Yeah, I wouldn't turn them away. But yeah, my main objective, like I've got a huge box sitting out there. I got a brand deal with a lift chair that it's a great product. $400. It's battery operated, rechargeable. You can move it anywhere in the house. If somebody wants to get down on the ground or somebody has fallen and it's not an emergency fall and they don't want to call paramedics, there's a ton of use cases for it. I did videos previously. They improved the product. They sent me a new version of it. They're paying me for the video content. Plus I get a pretty nice affiliate commission on any of the chair that sells.
I actually have a tip or a strategy that's actually working for me on a small scale. Obviously, like I'm such a newbie at the patient treatment videos as I'm getting them out there on concierge pain relief on Instagram and Facebook and all that. But this one thing, there is one thing. I mean, Tony, you do everything with video incredibly well. There's one thing that you're not doing, and I think you're not doing it because you're not necessarily trying to get new patients locally nearby. But if you're watching or listening, you probably are interested in getting more new patients locally, like from your town, your city, your zip code, a couple zip codes around you. And the one thing that's working for me is when we do a video of one of my therapists treating a friend, a client, a patient, whoever it might be, we tag the individual, assuming they agree to it, they consented to it. We tag the patient, client, the person that's actually like they're actually they aches pains. One guy had ankle surgery, so like they actually have issues going on that we're actually treating and getting capturing video of the treatment. We tagged this one client named Michael, and then yesterday saw him nearby. And so Michael said, so he was tagged. He follows my account. I follow him. So there's already some connection there on the platform. And then we tagged him on, one or more posts. And then some other friend of Michael that we don't know said to him, "Oh, this popped up into my feed, like like the Reels feed or whatever, a video of you being treated by whoever this practice is, concierge pain relief." And then Michael, the client, told me about it. So that's just a simple way. Like, and Tony, you post a ton of videos, uh, and you do a great job at it. But if you have the consent of your patients or clients, assuming, and now Tony, you got a little bit of an older population that may not be on social media. They might be on Facebook only. They might not be on Instagram. They might not have a name or a username to tag. But if you did and you got consent and you had them sign a consent form and a social media release, then I would suggest that owners tag the patients or clients, the person that's being treated, because they already consented. And that tag gives a little bit more affinity on the platform. Like that person should be following your therapy account. Your therapy account should be following that patient or client anyway. But then also by adding, like either tagging them on an image or tagging them in a reel or a photo. Plus, I put the username, the handle, the at actually in the caption or description or something like that. So those are some things that prompted this, and therefore like it's like, oh duh, like of course I need to be doing this all the time, because then I'm reaching the next layer, like the next layer of friends, like the people that are friends with this patient or client that we don't know, and there's already kind of like a warm introduction without the introduction taking place. Does that make sense?
That makes 100% sense. You just gave me a brilliant idea. Um, Real quick, so when I have products in my videos, I tag the product company. So I tag Softwave, I tag NewFit, I tag Blaze Pods, And occasionally those companies will then share and distribute my content because I tagged them, made them aware of it. Okay, I'm working through this in my head right now. There's a guy on TikTok. He is a physical therapist focused on helping dental professionals. All of his content is focused on dental professionals. I think he's got a paid program for dental professionals. What if, think about this for a second. You spend money on paid ads, right? Every local business, every local service provider, from mechanics to dentists to chiropractors and whatever, they're all spending money on paid ads, usually $1,000 a month. Some are $3,000 a month. What if somebody, a therapist, said, okay, I'm going to target a profession, or I'm going to target professionals. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to say, look, let's take a portion of that ad budget, pay me. I'm sure there's somebody in your business, your office, that has some sort of orthopedic issue right now: neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, whatever. Let's do this. You put $1,000 in my pocket. I will come out on site. If you're a mobile therapist, your person can come to me. If you're, brick and mortar, I will record the content of me treating that person. During the treatment, we will talk about and promote the business or service that you deliver. So instead of paying Facebook for that distribution, you pay me, the therapist. You get the benefit of the treatment. You get the benefit of the reach. Then I will put it on my platform. You share it on your platform. That money would have been spent on ads, and now it's organic. And now you have a human connection because somebody, we'll talk about this. We just had a quote for new brake pads. It was about $1,200 or $1,300 for new brake pads on my son's car. Like, we could totally get a mechanic, work on his shoulder and neck pain. In the process, talk about the brake pads, talk about his quote, talk about what he does that's different than what the Toyota dealership does. And I guarantee he's going to get customers that need car work done with that investment, but he also gets the benefit of the patient care.
I love it. What's the downside of this?
None. There is zero. I mean, this to me, okay, so work site, ergonomics, work site wellness I've always hated that. I hated trying to sell a business owner on paying me to come out and help their employees feel better. I see virtually zero value in that, although that's been a big part of the profession. This is a new spin on that. This is, not only are you going to pay me to make your people better, which was the original concept, but we're going to make it, across all social media, and we're going to make the whole community aware, and we're going to make your potential customers know what you do in a very human way. Man, I love this idea. We got to develop this. We got to talk about it and work on it and see if we can get some therapists who will reach out to local business owners to start doing some of this.
I love it. Plus, in the process of doing this, you build a little bit more like relationships and connections in the local community anyway, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Jimmy McKay could come down in New York. He lives right outside of New York City, but he could come down to Manhattan, come down to Brooklyn. His buddy Drew that
Go
does
out
the
there and
video.
discuss it. I'm on a call.
They absolutely could be doing this right now. And yeah, I mean, I would love to pay you, Tony, this money, or Jimmy or Drew or whoever, as opposed to, right now Facebook ads, I'm barely running on my, or they're paused
Yeah.
or whatever. But when I would absolutely love to keep it within the profession, or keep it within someone who's a service provider, especially like someone who does the videography. Like, it would make sense for me to find someone that's in Manhattan or Brooklyn to pay them this and not pay Facebook, because now I'm patronizing their business, and they have friends, and they have other customers and folks that might benefit from our services. So it absolutely makes more sense to do this. Plus, they're speaking about the product or service, in this case my service, and we're kind of building more relationships over time, and our networks and their networks are crossing, and some of our patients or clients might need the videography work, and then of course this videographer is going to have other folks that have aches or pains or injuries or whatever, and they could recommend us, and I think there are multiple benefits of this, like downstream, that you don't get or you might not get directly from Facebook ads. So if you spend it instead of $1,000 or $5,000 of Facebook ads, 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever to the videographer that's local, uh, makes a ton of sense to me.
The first name that comes to mind is Jeremy Sutton. So Jeremy has already gone out into his community. He's already got interviews with mechanics and salespeople and different things. He could easily set up the tripod, throw his phone on, record content. And you talked about downstream benefits that we're not even thinking about. Immediately, my mind went to Will Boyd is here saying Jeremy is the man. He is. My mind goes to, you let the conversation develop organically, but even to the point where if I'm working on my mechanic and my mechanic already went to an HVAC guy, the guy that comes to my house to work on our HVAC system, he's busy enough. He doesn't need new customers, but the day after or the day of, he came to my house, fixed my system, helped us out so much, goes home, does something, injures himself. He comes back to me as a patient now, a regular patient. I've known him for 20 years. We're good friends. We could have led that conversation to, who did he see as the orthopedic? Because I know who he saw. He saw the guy that I got him into the next morning. He went to the front desk. Front desk said, we can't see you for a week. Immediately, he called me. I text the orthopedic. The orthopedic says, tell him don't leave. I'll get him in right now. And before he left the office, he was seen. He got the imaging. He got everything that he needed. We could bring that doc's name into this conversation. Now we tag the doc, which is kind of what you've done. We tag the doc on social media, so we get recognition and exposure for the HVAC business. We get the marketing, but then we also tag the orthopedic doc, who now sees that on his social media feed, which is naturally going to drive more referrals from him because we're doing something without asking for anything in return. Man, there's just so many connections to this. And I really think this is a direction that a lot of mobile therapists could be going, just even going into your local sandwich shop, your local mom and pop, anything. They're all going to have orthopedic problems. They're all going to benefit from what you're doing. And they could probably use a couple extra customers.
Absolutely.
Wow.
This is no different. This is no different than the all the Dave Portnoy with the one bite, and he did it kind of as a joke, and then he liked pizza, and he just kept doing it, and then now he gets a ton of clients. He gets a ton of customers for these businesses, and he doesn't ask for anything in return. Now he gets good content from it, and then he gets eyeballs the way that you're hunting eyeballs and impressions and all that. But yeah, then the service-based businesses benefit, and yeah, there's physical therapists that could be doing the same thing. They could literally be doing like, taste tests or rating, or some of these owners don't like the rating system or whatever. You could do a thumbs up, thumbs down, or you don't have to rate them. You could just highlight what they're doing, and they absolutely will love the free exposure. And yes, you'll definitely get some of the downstream effects of the goodwill, especially because you're doing something to help them without asking for anything in return. You'll get stuff in return.
Absolutely. So Will Boyd said, hear me out. We need a PT Breakfast Club media company run by you guys. Will, I don't know if you were on earlier. I said my Facebook business page got, what did I say? 7.2 million views, mostly coming in the last 5 days. You're right. I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy put something together related to that. Pivoting just a little bit, I got mauled, which I love it when I do. I forget exactly what she said. No big deal. She was totally right. The way it sounded like I didn't value physical therapy. I said, it's not that I don't value physical therapy. It's that I don't necessarily value a lot of the physical therapy that I see being delivered. Okay. I think a lot of us agree. Thanks, Will. Dave, my question to you is,
I missed it. I missed this, by the way. I need to look it up.
That's all right. I just shared this. Um, Basically, what I did was I said, okay, let's bring some context into the conversation. Is physical therapy a nice to have or a need to have? I went to ChatGPT. I said, reviewing the clinical research, looking at Cochrane reviews and the best clinical research you can find. Give me basically your assessment of physical therapy after a total knee replacement. That very specific context. Is there any benefit to physical therapy after a total knee replacement versus no physical therapy intervention? And the two main findings, and I'll just read these quickly, and then I want to get your take on it. Physical therapy versus no formal PT, meaning home exercise only. I'm reading from ChatGPT's response. 2023 meta-analysis systematic review concluded that supervised PT, i.e. outpatient or inpatient, did not outperform unsupervised home exercise in outcomes of pain, range of motion, function after a hip or a knee arthroplasty. Multiple randomized controls, 120 plus patients, found no significant difference between outpatient PT and a home exercise program. And then there's a second finding: home exercise based physical therapy versus conventional outpatient physical therapy, no significant difference. From my perspective, when an insurance company looks at the clinical research and the summary is there's no benefit to doing physical therapy versus a home exercise program, why are they going to pay for for physical therapy in general? And you know, we've seen hip replacements virtually disappear from the physical therapy clinic. No surprise there. What are your initial thoughts on something like this?
I wanted you to finish because I've been waiting to jump in. There is no, Tony, we know, Tony, we can agree and disagree on many things. Can you and I, first of all, can we agree that most people do not do their home exercise program? They either don't do it all or they don't do it enough. And whatever the physical therapist across the country prescribes, that's why it's best to prescribe like one thing, max three things. But historically, therapists would give them, 10 things to do. And most people are not doing it either because behavior change, they've never exercised before, the exercise was not tied to their goals as to why they should even be doing it. There's many, many reasons, but most patients do not do their home exercise programs. I've paid out of pocket to see my friends and colleagues in New York City and Brooklyn. I've gone and, I was doing some of the things, but then it's like, oh, I get busy and then like it tails off. I don't do it all the five things or whatever I was prescribed. And I did it for a few days, but I don't do it between visits, or I didn't do it enough for multiple weeks or multiple months. I definitely didn't do it for multiple months. It was more of just like rehab drills or whatever. And that's me. And I know I am highly motivated. I exercise almost every day. And even myself, not doing all those exercises, and I know because patients come back into the clinic after the first visit or second visit, and you say, oh, can you show me that exercise that we did? And they're like, oh yeah, which one? And like, that's most people, I believe, in where I've treated it in Philly, New Jersey, New York, and I'm generalizing across the country. But first of all, can we agree that most people do not do their home exercise program at all, or hardly?
Yes, we can agree. You are a
Okay.
smart person. You're a highly motivated, highly successful person. Why don't you do your home exercise program?
So I didn't do it all. If I did it or not, if you're asking me did I do it or not, then I would say I did enough, but I know that most are not doing the full thing. And I mean there's many reasons. I just mentioned one, like the therapist probably didn't tie in, hey, we're doing this drill, this drill, this drill to I did shoulder, elbow, this was years ago, 5 years ago or something. And maybe the therapist didn't tie in an emotional trigger or an emotional goal. For me, it's like I need to play weekend baseball. I need to play men's league baseball. Now I'm in a league that has 2 games a week. For years I was playing in a league that has 1 game a week. Now I'm playing 2x the amount, and I need to keep myself, limber and moving and all that. So that maybe the therapist didn't tie in like, hey, here's these 3 or 5 or whatever exercises
Let's
to
go.
keep yourself.
Let's go back a second. I mean,
Go
this
ahead.
this is proving the point. Maybe you didn't do it 100%. Maybe you did enough of it. It didn't matter. You're back to where you need to be. Like whatever the issue was before, you were doing everything more than where you were doing before. Like my perspective is I don't think people do their home exercise programs because they don't matter. They're not effective. They're not a necessity. I don't think in this particular case, and I want to hear the rest of your position, total knee replacement, that's my jam. That's what I do. Like this is where I spend most of my time. Most of the time, it does not matter. But there are specific situations in which it is required. It is necessity. It is appropriate, but not in every case. And we need a system that triages. For too long, I think we've been in a position where we're like, there's a diagnosis. The diagnosis needs physical therapy. No, there's a person that might need physical therapy because of a specific situation, a specific context. But every diagnosis does not require physical therapy just because what the diagnosis is. But go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so we both agree that most people do not do their home
Don't do
exercise
it.
programs.
Yeah.
So how the heck could that be better than in-person therapy when in the original study that you were talking about with the comparison?
Because I don't think
That
it
I
matters.
no, there's no way that a home exercise program only would be better than a person who has to schedule visits and go to a clinic or have a therapist come to them, because that accountability results in they're going to get treatment, they're going to get some hands-on treatment, they're going to move, they're going to do exercise or drills with someone that's actually giving them feedback, verbal cues, tactile cues, all that, and progressing the program over time, which most people also cannot do. They cannot usually progress their own program over time. So I disagree with ChatGPT. I don't care what ChatGPT says about this. There's no way it's right because no one does their home exercise program. So in person, in a clinic, or home visits will absolutely be better for outcomes compared to a home exercise program alone. Most people need accountability. They don't have the motivation to do all that on their own. Full stop.
Okay. So things to consider in that is one, do the home exercises even matter? I don't believe they do. I believe the patient gets more benefit from just doing their normal activity. I tell my patients all the time, I'm like, look, you don't need to do ankle pumps. If you're drinking enough water, you're going to the bathroom every 2 to 3 hours, you're getting up, you're walking, you're coming back. That's the exercise. Like you're telling me 20 ankle pumps is going to be better or in some way even measurable compared to physically getting up, walking across the room, going to the bathroom, squatting, getting up, coming back. I don't think the exercises being prescribed matter. If you dive deeper in, I specifically asked some follow-up questions, and it was like, there's no standard protocol, there's no uniformity. People are doing all sorts of different stuff. So then you look at, okay, let's look across the profession. Look at the numbers of therapists that claim to be burnt out. Look at the numbers of therapists and groups that are looking for alternative careers. The question isn't even like, do they need to do it? It's, are the people delivering the services that are worth doing, that are worth paying for, whether it's insurance dollars or private pay? I don't think they are. You're a different case. People watching this are a different case, but across the profession, I don't think the standard protocols or what people are doing are really all that effective. The value I see in what we do is not in the ankle pumps, glute sets, and quad sets. It's in answering the questions, the motivation, the peace of mind, looking at the incisions, getting a sense for the anxiety and the fear and all of the emotional baggage that comes with not sleeping, having this surgery, feeling like you're not capable of doing what you want to do, what your spouse is expecting you to do. Most of the most powerful moments I have as a therapist working with patients after a knee replacement have nothing to do with range of motion. It's about my husband thinks I should be doing more. I am incapable of doing more. How do I deal with this? Those are the emotional, psychosocial things that I do believe we bring huge value for. But nobody talks about that stuff, or very few people talk about that stuff. The home exercise program doesn't matter. The actual mechanics of what you do don't matter. You're going to want to get off the couch. You're going to want to get up and walk. That is who you are. You're going to do that stuff whether you see me or not. But again, I don't think insurance companies pay me for the psychosocial. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And so when they're looking at raw numbers, they're like, why are we spending $1,000 or $2,000 more when it doesn't matter? Research shows it doesn't matter across the spectrum. It matters in specific cases.
Can we just touch back on video, because you sent Jimmy and I the video of your car being serviced, and
Yeah.
they basically like showed you under the hood, like, and they were like, hey, this is what we're going to work on. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. This is what I'm looking at. I'm under the hood. I'm under the car. The car was up on a lift, and they sent you that, and I thought that was a really unique. Obviously, you shared it with Jimmy and I, so you thought that was pretty impressive. I thought it was impressive, and there are some ways that I could kind of tie that into my clientele. But is that something, because we mentioned the video earlier, and I thought you were going to mention. I thought you were going to bring it up then, but so I wanted to just touch on it real quick.
Yeah. For the viewers, for the listeners, for context, I bought a 2010 Toyota Highlander as a new car. So I've been going to the same Toyota dealership for servicing. When we bought the car, we got free lifetime oil changes. 2010. So we're going on 15 years. In the beginning, I'd set up my time. They do the oil change, they do the tire rotation, they'd come out, they'd be like, all right, here's your filters, here's this, here's that. It was a very manual process, took a long time. It wasted 2.5 hours of my life. Over the years, they've evolved. So now my son is taking the car in. He took it in yesterday, blew my mind. Immediately, I get a text, your car has arrived. Your car is back. You're, third in line, whatever. I get a text follow-up that shows me a list of what should be done. I already mentioned the brake pads needed work serviced, the filters needed changed, the oil needed changed, a couple other things. But included in this was a second link that had a video the mechanic recorded. The mechanic is under my car with a phone or a device, recording and showing me, without me going into the garage, this is what your filters look like. This is, what we recommend. This is what the oil pan looks like. This is what the brake pads look like. And I don't know, it's probably 20, 25 seconds of real video of my car back on the blocks. It was just amazing. And then a couple minutes later, I get another text that has a list of the recommended, what's critical, what's optional, with a red X or a green check. And based on whatever I selected with the prices, I could order that service right now while my car is back there. And, I don't think I could pay online, but that's like the next version of this, is then I would just pay right there using Apple Pay or my phone or whatever. This is amazing. And so I think about, the therapy clinic. I think about people walking in. I think about how we can use this technology. What's on your mind on how you can use something like this? Because I'll tell you what I'm doing right now.
Yes. Well, with what you went through with the Toyota video, it absolutely should have a link right below it to check out and pay. And it should be like an itemized little, checkout order form, and everything is like, here's the things that like this has to be taken care of, and here's how much it is. And then the optional ones, just by doing that, and then you can basically like click which ones you want to add to the cart and pay right now, like from your phone, because that absolutely would increase the average order volume, like per ticket across the entire business. Because there's going to be some folks that are like, oh, well, this stuff's optional, but I might as well do it now. Or in your case, like, kids driving the vehicle. So it's like, oh, like, the tires are like, they're, eventually they're going to be, need to change, but, they're, I don't know, kids are going off to school or whatever. So like the fact that it even lists and could list the optional items to add to your cart and pay for those as well, even without being on site, absolutely makes a ton of sense. And so how could we use this? I mean, well, we touched on the video of like sending a video of the therapist before either the patient's going to come to your clinic and be treated, or a mobile therapist is going to come to your home. We need to do it. We keep talking about it. We got to do it. I have to implement it. That's like absolutely needed to be done. But then I'm thinking now in real time, when we're talking about the Toyota, like here's the checklist of like the air filter needs to be changed and this, the brake pads have to be changed. And then anything else that's ancillary, like the tires are like slightly getting worn out, like that's optional because it's more expensive or whatever. There could be a similar order form that's sent to your prospective patient or your current patients and clients because there's other offerings because Tony and I and Tony's a master of making offers, and there's other things that we've done on the show that Jeremy Sutton and others have taken us up uh, on implementing offers and ideas that we've tested. And that order form could be like, add this to your cart, add this to your cart. It could be the tens unit that's on Amazon that's got Tony's affiliate link. It could be all your affiliate links, or it could be different programs that folks didn't even know you had. The remote programming and workouts on your own. It could be other things, other guidance, and other clinical programs that your patients and the clients didn't even know that you offer. So they came to you. They're coming to you for back pain, but then it also lists like your I don't know your neuropathy evaluation or your our thing like our Parkinson's breakthrough program or whatever. Like that could be listed as like optional. Like you need to pay. I could send Tony. You need to pay this evaluation for low back pain. This is critical. Like you have to pay this for us to get started. And then it could list other things underneath that are optional. It could be physical products. It could be other programs with other therapists in your practice, whatever, as optional add-ons. And it's like over time, some people are going to take you up on these optional add-ons without even maybe potentially even pitching it or selling it in person. Like how amazing could this be?
Every day, yesterday as an example, but every day, I'm in the clinic recording clips of patients doing things. I said a couple minutes ago, home exercise programs don't matter. Nobody does them. We had that conversation, but there's still this obligatory expectation that I'm going to give you something to do. So yesterday evening, patients in here, we're doing one a week, only 3 visits, short-term plan of care. Those are my favorite plans of care. He's like, hey, what am I going to do outside of here? I was like, okay, look, let me hit a couple of videos. I'll text them to you right now. He's in the clinic. I'm getting paid for my face-to-face time. This is part of the 97110 code. If I did this after he left, I do not get paid for those minutes. So I do it while he's there. Also, I have my media release in place. I have all the boxes checked. He's doing, let's say, a pigeon stretch or whatever. I record it. I get his text number or I text it to him right there. It goes straight to his phone. I confirm that he's got it. But right from that, that's where then I could say, I'm also sending you a link to Amazon or to our store or to whatever for the equipment that we used when you're doing these exercises. And, I had Joseph Lowe makes these incredible loop resistance bands. They're pure bands on Amazon. Everybody loves them. They're $20. They're soft. They're comfortable. I've never really had a TheraBand loop from the TheraBand company that people love as much as these pure band loops. And so same thing. I record somebody doing a resisted sidestepping with the loop around their ankles. I shoot them that because they want that. Behind that, comes the link to the Amazon affiliate or to my store where they can buy that. Now, if they buy it, they come in for the next visit, it's ready for them. Or they buy it before they even leave through the app, so I don't have to have an administrative person process the payment. They just buy it right there online, and then I give it to them. Like these are the integrations that make it affordable for us to sell some of these lower ticket items, $15, $20, $30 items that maybe we couldn't afford to sell before. But if it's automated and a link, payments processed without a human, man, I'll take that all day long.
I love it. Party shots?
Yeah, parting shots. Video is coming. There's no question. I think, and I don't think we talked about it, maybe on Thursday, we'll talk about Gary Vee has been really pushing live social selling. Live QVC basically style social selling, huge in China, getting big on TikTok and whatnot. I don't use the platform, but I think that's what it is. I want to talk about that, but regardless, video is coming. It's here. AI video is in the future. Don't sleep on it. Start playing with it.
Party Shot is also video, but you know, all the stuff that we talked about already, which is either building connections, building referral partners in your local community. It could be non-healthcare businesses. It could be physicians, interviewing the physicians. We talked about that a bunch of times, interviewing, getting them in the spotlight, getting other folks in the spotlight that want to talk about themselves. And by you asking them questions, they're in the spotlight. They could start sending you patients and clients and referrals. Or the content, recording content inside your clinic, inside, you know, during your mobile visits, getting it out there, getting it published. Make sure you tag the patient or client, if assuming they've consented and all that. Tag as many people as possible, because then you get into their layer, their layer of friends and followers that you don't know, but they know the patient, the client being treated, and by that, it's almost like a warm introduction, because they're like, oh, I know Mike. I don't know this practice, but I know Mike. Oh, he got ankle surgery and he's being treated. What's this about? Then they click on our profile. Then they can click on our website. So video is the conduit. Focus on many, many things, you know, training more of my therapists, getting them busier, keeping them busy, you know, training them on presenting the plan of care, getting buy-in, getting agreement. There's so many other things that I'm concurrently working on with my physical therapist, but also video is a huge component, and it's going to continue to be a big component through the rest of this year and definitely into next year. And doing all these types of things, you know, anyone watching or listening, like you don't have to do this. Like, only do this if you want to make more money, help more people, get more results, all that. And if you're watching or listening at any point in time, then that is probably you.
All right, go check out the Dave Kittle Show, learn Medicare billing, PT Pinecast. We'll see you guys every Tuesday, Thursday morning at 8:30 Eastern. See you, Dave.
I know.